Good afternoon, people. Let's get into this. Today we're gonna do something exciting. Rapu, how are you doing? We're gonna do. So we did implementing new animation. I think I have something else to add, but I'm not gonna do today, because I have the reach animations. But we're not gonna do it today. What we're gonna do today is tournament. Yay! It's gonna be quite exciting. But before we start, let me fix real quick a crash that the other day I saw that we were having. It's a crash in the editor, just never good. So if I take an animation, I stop it and I drag this to the end, boom, it crashes. So it crashes simply is an assert. The weird thing is that it's an assert. The weird thing is that it's also crashing when I build the release version. Interesting. Thing is that it would be really useful to have a message. I can have a message. Okay, that's good. Right. So we can have a message that says time and duration, like this. So time and animation duration. Okay, and let's try again. Why this is happening? So for example, this one, we stop it, we bring it at the end, boom. And what is happening is time is 3 years. Okay, so it's just above. The next question is why? Because we have a play. Maybe something that happens in the animation tab. Maybe we need to I could make sure here that it doesn't happen, but I would like to do it where it's actually happening. Don't remember where I put that, where I do the code to do that. That UI, here it is. Okay. So it looks like some small floating point problem with IMGUI. I'm just gonna fix it here. So self player time is a clump value of self player time between 0 and animation duration. So we are just making sure that it doesn't happen. That should be enough to solve this crash. It's probably just a floating point oddity. So stop. Okay, it's not crashing anymore. All right. Fix that. Let's go. So fixed editor crash when sliding to animation end. Right. What did I do here? The assert. I will leave it like that. The assert. Okay. So when it comes to tournament, we already have the logic work done. So I can run a Rust test down here that basically tests 30 tournaments. So it's creating the tournament, it's playing the tournament, everything seems to be fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the game. Now the idea is that so in order to do that, we're going to need a different screen. So this is our main screen where we can at the moment just start a match randomly. What we're going to do is to have like a button that goes like tournament for now, that opens another screen with the tournament that will develop. In order to do this, we need to have inside the launcher, let me close everything here and restart from launcher. So inside the launcher, so we have two options. Like I have a concept of a level in the game where in hydrofoil generation, every screen was a separate level. So that could be one way to do it. In this case, I'm not sure I want to do that. I don't want to restart another level. So I was thinking more in have like a sub screen, a screen concept inside my launcher. So right now we have the form, which is what we are rendering and handling right now. One possible way to do this could be to have some kind of enum called launcher screen, right? And this could have something like main screen, right? The main screen is going to have a form, and that's it, I think, right? And then we could have tournament, which also going to have a form. Right? So the idea is that instead of having a form here, we're going to have a screen, launcher screen. So when we go here, because the alternative, I can have it like this. The other alternative is to have it, to have a struct called main screen, right, where it's got a form and potentially some additional state in there. And I think it's probably cleaner. And the other advantage is that I can implement this main screen right? And have a function new that creates it, right? So I think it's a better way, right, to do it this way, right? So we're gonna have this, and we're gonna have a tournament screen, which also has a form. All right, all right. So we want to create the main screen. So function new, and let's see what we're going to need to create this form, right? So at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is do this, right? Do all this shit. And do we have something related to the hot reload? I don't think so. So we can lift all this code and put it in here, right? So in order to create this, so this is going to be self form. Okay. In order to create the form, we're going to need this stuff, and it's going to be a renderer. It's going to be a font store, and it's going to be a texture store. Right? So back, and back. Right? Main, whatever. Okay, that sounds reasonable. So what we're gonna do here is gonna be, and actually, this one, instead of returning a main screen, we could actually return, let's just do it like this. So we can say screen is launcher screen, main screen, new, and we pass in the renderer, and we pass in the font store, and we pass in the texture store. Cool. So now we can, we also have to do this stuff here. Okay, so we're not done. All right, okay, so we need to initialize it, right? So we need to also do this, run also this code. So let's put it in here, right? And so what we're going to need is a UI memory, so lots of stuff. So UI memory, probably just reading from it, I think. And we also need a player DB. Players DB. Also read only, I think. Players DB. So this should be now happy. And now this one, it means that we need to move. So we need to create this, the player DB, before we call this, because we are passing it in. And same thing for the UI memory. All right. So this part, we're good. Next, on hot reload. Haha. Okay. This is a little bit more complex, because the point is that, first of all, who is calling this? I think we have, because I have a feeling that this becomes a member of the main screen. This song stuff, I'm not doing it anymore, so we really don't care at the moment. Yeah, we really don't care about doing all this stuff. Okay. Change song. I mean, I'm going to leave this code, but. All right. So here comes the update. And the update also becomes part of the form. So all this. So all this stuff. Event handling. Again, this change song. We will get rid of it. This one, no, this is not part of it. So I think this becomes part of our update for the main screen. So this becomes update, right? For sure, it's gonna be a self-mutable. For sure, we're gonna return something. So, but first thing, let's see what we need in order to work. So in theory, we need a game. Again, texture store, font store in case of hot reload. So render texture store, font store in case of hot reload. If you remember, we were talking about yesterday, this is a perfect example of how Rust is different from other languages. Because in another language, so you might notice that what we need is renderer, texture store, font store. But that's exactly what also we needed to create this. So to create it, we needed renderer, texture store, and font store. In another language, you would cache this inside the main screen and say, and then you don't have to pass them anymore, right? And this is one of the things that in Rust becomes very cumbersome to do. Because obviously you start to use things like RC, but the problem with RC or ARC, which is a reference counter smart pointer, the problem is that they're constant, right? And in this case, we need mutable access. So if we just needed constant access to this stuff, then the RC will work. In this case, it wouldn't work, right? The RC, because you cannot mutate. So you have to start to do things like this. So you will have to start to do things like, okay, I try to cache the renderer as the RC of a ref cell of renderer, something like that, right? And ref cell is something that you can a runtime. So it will enforce the same rules of the borrow checker, but it will do it on runtime. So you could get a crash at runtime if you're trying to get mutable access to more than one ref cell. So I don't like that. So I never do that. And also the other thing is that basically now your code will be full of this. So every time you have to pass a renderer, you actually have to pass all this shit. You have to pass an RC to a ref cell to a renderer. So I don't like that. And I prefer the more cumbersome approach where we keep passing this shit. So we pass this in to create it, and when we want to update it, we're gonna pass it again. Right? Tough. Now we have to take a decision for this thing about the game, but because we need the renderer, the game as the renderer. You notice here that we're using this game as specifically for the window. So we could pass the window separately and also the size of the screen as a value. But then it doesn't make any sense. Also, we're trying to do this, right? So in this case, instead of renderer, we pass in a game. Right? So let's fix now this. Okay. And then we have this thing that is happening. So we're changing. So we are changing the state of the game, right? So this is a screen. The concept is that we have the player model in the background that is playing an animation. So you might think, okay, let's pass in a reference to the launcher, okay? But if you do that, you will discover that is one of those things that it's a very typical thing where in C# or in C++, you will call this function and you will call it with a this, right? To say, okay, and then you change me, right? And again, this is something that experience has taught me that Rust really doesn't like that. So we're not going to do that. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to start to create a concept of side effect. Okay, so we're going to say this function returns a side effect, and so this side effect could be, in this case, the player avatar changing the sequence. We're lucky at the moment. This is the only side effect, but soon we will see that there's going to be another one, which is change screen to the tournament screen. One thing that we're lucky is that I don't think we need a vector of side effects. So the way we're going to do this is to have enum, and we will call it screen update result, something like that, right? Or action request, right? That makes sense. It's like the screen update is requesting the launcher to do this action. And one action could be next sequence, right? So player avatar next sequence. So that's easy, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to say that our update returns this. And obviously, one possible thing is that we don't want to do anything. Now, we could do two things, and probably it's more clear in Rust to say we return an option of this. It becomes a little bit long as a type, but it allows us to do something like none. Okay, that's very clear. So we just have to solve this. So in order to solve that, what are we going to do? We could, in theory, return. Actually, we need to set next sequence. We need to pass the index. So this thing needs to have a usize. Set next sequence. Okay. All right. So so we have a couple of options here, and one option would be we could early return from here. We assume that there is only that event. That's usually a reasonable assumption, but we can also do it like this. Let mute like result is none, and we return this here, and here we can do the result equals sum launcher screen update action request next sequence selected index. Yeah, sounds reasonable. And then we grab this code. So right now we are here, right? So what we want to do is a match on the self. So we're gonna match on mutable self. screen. All right. So if it is the main screen, right, we're going to do action. It's going to be main screen update, and we're going to pass in all the stuff. So the game, the font store, and the texture store. This is a little bit annoying, passing all this stuff. The reason why we have to pass all this is because of the hot reload. So it's either this or calling another function like handle hot reload. There is really no way to go around this. So, and then we do a match on the action, right? And if it is some we need to be a little bit smarter than this. Let's do if let some action, right? And then we match on action. All right, and now we have next sequence. And now we can do the code that was there, which is self player avatar set next sequence. So a little bit cumbersome. Again, if we were in C#, we will just pass this and make stuff happen there. This is all very bureaucratic, right? It's very organized. It gives us an idea of what can happen, but it's very bureaucratic. It's really, really bureaucratic. All right, so let's stop with this song nonsense. We still have stuff to do. We have this. We have load sim, right? So we don't have this. So this, I think, was there. So this is another possible. This is another possible side effect, right? So here you see that we have this load sim, right? That we're setting to true. So we're going to do it in a very similar way, where we do load sim as a command, right? So instead of doing this, we're going to do res is some screen update load sim. Okay, and now the nice thing about Rust is that so it's signaling that there are stuff that we're not using. We're really going to get rid of this song selection. The nice thing about Rust is that it's going to tell us, hey, you're not handling the load sim stuff, right? So when we come here, now the question is, can we do the load sim here? Because what is happening is that the way it works is that we're doing it after the screen is rendered and so on. And I think we have to do it the same way. So we're going to do it, repeat the thing here. So load sim is false, right? And what is going to happen is that here now Rust is saying, hey, you didn't handle all the possibility, load sim, and we just go load sim, load sim is true. And now it goes here. So next, right? These are stuff that, again, could be a little bit tricky. So what we're doing right now is we're setting what is the next match, right? And this is probably stuff that we should do in the update, right? And we see already that in order to make that happen, we will have to pass in the UI memory. So let's stick 1 second this in here and see how we can do this. So let's pass in the UI memory, and we will need mutable access to this guy. All right. So what we're doing here is basically updating our UI memory. We could do it. So let me see 1 second. This is not super efficient, but it does the job. It, you know, it does what we need to do, I think. Yeah, I think it does what we need to do, all this, right? It's annoying because it does it all the time, but who cares? So it's not perfect, but I think it's good enough. So here now we pass the UI memory. The UI memory again is like a shared memory between different screens. Right? Okay, so now we're here, and I think we're done. Are we? I think it should all work. So we did all this to come back to where we were. We just reorganized, and now we're ready to actually go and load a second screen. Right. So now we have this. Just to test, let's try to go for a training session rally start. Seems to be working. That's good. All right. So we stop this. Let's make sure that when we reload, we are in the same situation. Yeah, training rally, same opponent, same court. It's all working. This one is not working. Let's get rid of it. All right, so from, what is it? Main screen. Right, so main screen, we're going to get rid of the song stuff, songs. And did I handle the hot reload? Yes. Okay, so the song is gone. All right. All good? All right. So, okay, so next, let's create this button, right? So let's do a completely different place. So say that we're gonna have on the other side. So we're gonna go bottom right, tournament. What's wrong with this? Yes, the position has to be minus 320. There you go. Our tournament should be there. I don't know. I think it's good enough. All right, let's call it button tournament. Okay, cool. To the code. So the idea here is that in our update, if we press button tournament, our result is going to be a new action, which is, you know, I could say load, I could say set next screen, right? And we could pass in a launcher screen. Let's see if we can do it this way. So we're going to do the loading of the thing here instead of doing it outside, right? So where are we? Yeah. So here we're going to say So we're going to do let tournament screen is tournament screen new. And the question is that, do we have all we need to create this? And if I have to go and guess, I would say that what we need is a clone of the UI memory, for sure. We're going to need the renderer. And we're going to need... And this is tricky because what we're going to do with the texture store. Yeah, I think we can pass in the font store and the texture store. So this should give us a tournament screen. And then here we go, launcher screen, tournament screen. All right. So UI mem doesn't have clone. Should. So derive clone and derive clone. Well, here we're good. So next we're gonna do that this one, tournament screen. We need the new function, tournament screen, and we're gonna get a UI mem, and it's the actual thing. It's a value, right? We will get ownership on this. The renderer. There, and then is the font store, and text store, right? And we return self. That should be enough. So let's put the to do here, so we can make sure that renderer. All right. Okay. Ciao Roberto. A comment describing the national tennis latest feature, strictly a Neapolitan accent. Okay, so Roberto is asking me to do a Neapolitan comment on the latest national team. So we're talking about Italy getting eliminated, not going to the World Cup. And my Napolitan comment is novutamente stomaca. Sono contento che non me la sono guardata. Per guardarla mi dovevo svegliare tipo alle 2:30 di notte, quindi ho detto no, perché tanto come va. È patetico uguale. So yeah, sadly another World Cup without Italy. Void Bleed, thanks for the follow. Sei napoletano? Sì, sono napoletano. The fact that I'm from Napoli won me a follower, which is good. What's going on here? Launcher screen tournament. Yes, we need to do as a result. So as a result, so this is gonna be a long one. This is gonna be a screen update request. Set next screen. The fuck is this? Looks like Java. That's very verbose. That's a very verbose. That's very atypical for me to write code like this. And as usual, if you're confused, that question was coming from YouTube, right? So, all right. We have an error down here. Yeah, the pattern. Now we have to solve this, right? And this should be pretty easy because this is simply the only thing that is difficult here is, well, no, it's not difficult. We're taking ownership, I think. So self screen, right, is launcher screen. It's better to call it screen. Screen. We should be able to move out of here. Yes, that's nice. Okay. Okay. Grande. Vabbè, sono napoletano, ma me ne sono andato nel 2001, quindi insomma faccio anche fatica a parlare napoletano ormai. Okay, so far so good. At the moment, if we try to run this, it's gonna crash because we have a to-do in the creation. Right, so if I press this, it will crash because we have a to-do there, right? But let's make it happen. Okay, so in order to make this happen, we need a form. So let's go. So this is going to be tournament screen, JVF. Cool. Let's just put something just so we know that this is alive, right? So we need this, right? We need this to work. I don't know if I have this texture. Let's try to see if that texture, I don't know if that code still works. No, we don't have it. Culture texture tennis background, but we should have it somewhere. Jack's games, P2A, content, texture, tennis background. How does it look like? Okay, it's got this shitty kind of blueprint of racket. Fine. We just need to prove that it's working. All right. So we have that. So the code is going to be a lot like this. Right? Boom. Okay. And then we return a self with a form. Okay. So far so good. You know what, UI mem I don't need to copy. I think it's enough to have it as a reference. But this is gonna complicate stuff. Hold on. Or does it? So instead of cloning it, we just pass it in like this. Okay. 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 Are we gonna see it? Are we gonna see that? I'm not sure. Probably we're gonna run into another to-do because we don't have the update. Yeah. So yeah, now we're hitting this to-do. So let's say that we do nothing if we have a tournament screen other than but it also means that we're not gonna see anything. Yeah, and this is not updated anymore. It's all right. So let's do this thing. So what we do is pretty much exactly what we do here, right? And this time we're going to do it with the tournament screen. Again, we're copying what we are doing on the other one, especially the first part. So update. So all this shit, blah, 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 blah. Up to pretty much here. Also here, also here. Let's copy all of it and then we delete it. I think it's easier. Yeah, I think it's easier. So update of, okay, we don't even have, so let's copy the entire thing. And then we delete. So we go here, boom. All right. So let's see what we're going to do here. So self-alter load, we don't have it, but let's write a function that does nothing on hot load. Neutral self does nothing. Okay. Now, don't care. We start this, we take the events, we don't have any event. So we're not doing anything here. Doing like this. Okay, don't care. Don't care. Boom. Right. Cool. We should be able to see it now. To see it and work on it. No, still not working. Interesting. Okay, that was unexpected. So the main screen. Okay. We need to do the tournament screen. Tournament screen. That's why. Bang, 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 bang. Let's go. Tournament. All right. We still don't have the background. Probably that code is broken. Creating texture. So it's creating the texture, but I think the scene has a clear color. That's why we're not seeing it probably. Let's put something else in it. So let's put a title. Boom. Okay. What's wrong in here? Because we need to declare the fonts. Yeah. It's the second time that I write a form with this new system. So, all right. So far, so good. So now we're seeing the background. Interesting that we were not seeing it before. Once I added the title, this worked, and the girl is gone. Right. So let's take out the background. All right. So we're back here. Okay. So does the hot reload works? So let's do like tournament. Yeah, it works. All right. So, okay. Now, the next big question is, so what we're going to do with this tournament thing? We want to really render slap spin, right? No, that's not the idea. That's not the idea. It was not the musical oriented. So I have two options here. So one option would be to, obviously I don't want to write, so you can imagine now a tournament. So let's see what we're trying to do. Like, let's see if I can find what tennis tournament table or something like that. So you guys understand what we are trying to do. That's not what I meant at all. So it's not called table. How is it called? A draw? Yeah, so we're gonna do something like this. Can I have it a little bit bigger? I don't know if you ever seen something like this, right? But this is what we're going to try to do. Right? And you can imagine, so here is going to be like the names of the players, right? And they advance through the tournament. Now here we really don't want to recreate all these labels. So you can imagine this is a bunch of labels. We all have to do these lines. So it's a lot of stuff. So I have a feeling that the way we're going to do it is immediate. Right. So let's have a look how it could look like. So we go here. And ciao Simone. So the first thing we should do is to actually create the tournament, right? This is interesting straight away because in order to create a tournament, we need a player DB, and we don't have it. So that's problemo number one. Because if I add in here the player database, where is player B? Where is that? The player database. Right. Then I can create the tournament. The problem is that where I create this, I don't have the player database here. So in order to have the player database here, it means that I will have to pass it to our update. And we're back into Rust being a pain in the ass. A royal pain in the ass. Because you can see here that we're passing in a player database. One question now, yeah, we can't make player database. We cannot make a player database an RC because, let me think. Yeah, because during the game you could train, your opponents will train, and potentially so their skill will change. So the player databases has to be mutable. It has to be centralized. So we want to have one player database. So we can already envision a situation where we have to pass this player database around everywhere. We could be pragmatic, right? So we could be pragmatic here and say, and do something that the Rust people will go like, ooh, brother, don't do that. We're going to do it. Static mute. So I don't remember how you do it. Because I do it so infrequently. Still have this lazy static. Who uses lazy static? It's not me. I never used it. Should I go for it? Because the way I do it is really like brutal. So I do it here. So here, for example, I need to manually say, hey, don't worry. Let's have a look at lazy static. You know, let's learn something new. Rust lazy static. Let's see if this is something that could help. What I want to do, I want to have a global variable player DB, right? Well, in that module, is required to be able to execute a runtime in order to be initialized. The problem, I have a feeling that this lazy static is only for immutable stuff. In order to make it mutable, so let's have a look. So this is a hash map. So it's creating this hash map. But then I don't think you can, yeah, I don't think you can modify it. I think this is only for immutable stuff. Rust lazy static mute. How can I use mutable? You must wrap the value inside the synchronization primitive like a mutex on a RV lock to ensure trade safety. The problem is that we really don't care. We don't care. Do we care? Let's use this RW lock. We really don't care. I really don't think we care. So this is how it's going to look like. Static ref hash map is a mutex of an hash map. And then this is how we use it. Let's go for it. Let's give it a try. Let's see if I am disgusted by it. I'm gonna do it the hard way. So let's go cd tennis cargo add lazy static. Whoopsie lazy static. Hopefully it doesn't make my compile times 3 times longer. All right, so so what we have here is players DB, right? And this is going to be let's try the RW lock. Because if I remember correctly, this will allow multiple. So the mutex will allow one access regardless of if you're going to mutate it or not. While the RW lock lazy static in the scope, lazy static in the scope, but it is a crate, not a macro. Lazy static. Right. Qualify. That's not what we meant. Players DB. And the idea is that we do players DB new content players DB. Okay. RW Why I cannot see this RW lock? It's not like that. CD sync RW lock. Ah, it's lowercase lock. All right, cool. And I think I need to do a new. What's wrong with you? Expected players to be found in a result. Okay. Oh, crap. All right. So that's our thing. So you're telling me that this is just going to run when I start the program. Right. So, all right. So if I go to my main form, so the launcher, where we have the players DB, right? So we get rid of this. Get rid of this. We get rid of this. All right, so here it is, player DB. Okay, so we need, so probably we can do players DB is players DB. Get players DB. How I read it? Read. Is this a reference to player DB? The fuck is this? How I get it as a reference? Rust RW lock. Reader radius and consideration of primitive Rust that allows multiple concurrent readers. What we want. Read and wrap. For fuck's sake. All right. So read and wrap. Boom. Okay. Is it already a reference? No, it's not already a reference. Okay. So I need to treat it like that. Okay. So far, so good. What else? So here, in update, okay. So if load sim, we grab it. Players DB is players DB read and wrap. But I hope this is not doing a copy, right? It's not doing a copy. I cannot believe it's doing a copy. Also because player DB is not clonable, so it cannot do a copy. So we're good. So it's just a reference, right? So this is player DB players and player DB players. So far so good. I like this. I kind of like this. All right, next. So now, tournament new, we don't need players DB anymore. So we will be able to create our tournament, which is verified. And I can see already this UI mem is also a candidate now to become like this, to become a global. And it's like a global inside this module. So it's still pretty controlled. So that's fine. The main screen, right, also has this player DB, and we don't need it, right? So when we go here, we can actually grab it like this. Players DB is our player DB read and wrap. That's pretty cute, actually. Okay, that works really well. All right. And then here it means that we don't have to pass it anymore. Doesn't mean that we don't need it anymore. No, we still need it here, so that's good. Okay. Okay, good. So now we can create the tournament. Let's just run it just to make sure that we didn't break anything. We shouldn't, because, you know, that variable, it's only visible inside this module. So from in this launcher stuff, so we're good. I think I should also do it for the UI memory. It will simplify my function calls a lot. All good. Just start the game just to make sure that it works, but it works. Why should it work? All right, cool. Let's do it also for UI memory, because yeah, why not? Why not? And we know how to do it now, right? So static ref UI mem is to sync rw lock of UI memory, right? Std sync rw lock new UI memory. Yeah, we're gonna load it. Just like that. Okay, so let's go now to grab our launcher, and we kill the UI memory. Right. So UI memory, we take it now like this, UI memory read, and I'm not sure, we might need it mutable, but maybe not here. Unwrap. Okay. Boom. Okay. Then in here, so main screen update, we don't need to pass it. This simplifies, and this. So main screen, I think we need a mutable access to this. So UI mem is UI mem get mutable unwrap. So now we have our cannot borrow data indefinite as mutable. What? What the hell? What do you want? Trait defer mutable is required to modify through a deference, but is not implemented for the UI mem. Help me, internet. Lazy static RW lock. Buongiorno. So I think lazy static is not factor, is this RW lock. You must wrap the data in a synchronization like that's exactly what we're doing. So what is your problem? I don't think it's this. No. How are we gonna do this? To resolve this, initialize shared data as an arc RW lock. Che palle. Hmm. Okay, so it's say all right. Should we change it into a mutex? Mutex. Let's see if it solves our problem. So in this case is lock, I imagine. Cannot borrow UI MSMR as it is not declared as immutable. It is not declared as immutable. I'm getting pissed, eh? I'm getting pissed. I'm getting pissed now. I'm afraid that the moment I'm gonna try to get a mutable access to the player's DB, it's gonna fail. Right, so let me backtrack 1 second. Shit. All right, let me backtrack 1 second what I did. So let's go back to a situation where we have our UI memory. Ah, fuck, I don't have all this stuff now. Shit. All right, let's do it. Let's do it in the unsafe way. All right, so let's do it. Fuck all this shit. Let's go. Unsafe all the way. Let's go. Let me do it. Where are we? Device, right? This. Right. So this is gonna be static mute UI mem, right? It's gonna be a UI mem. It's gonna be UI mem new UI.ini. Load. Cannot find the UI mem in this. Talking about, dude. UI mem. All right. All right. Cannot call not constant associated function. Blah 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 blah. All right. So we do it like this. None. It's an option. Okay. And then when we start the game, when we start the launcher, implement launcher, all right. UI mem, so this is unsafe. That's how I'm doing it here, right? So init, yeah. All right, that's it. Very simple. So UI mem is UI is some UI memory. Load UI.ini. I'm not sure. I'm not happy that. Can I create like a UI memory with nothing? So match UI data. Can I do this instead of having it as an option? Can I call it like this? UI mem. Match the UI default. Is it good enough? No. Cannot call non-constant. Che palle Rust. Oh, che dito in culo. So let's create already a UIMem function like this, right? That is returning a UI memory, right? And it's basically returning unsafe UIMem. As ref. Ah, yes, because it's an option. Wrap. Right. Why you want yeah, static. All right. Okay. Cool. Ok. Che palle. Che palle, Rust. Che palle. Okay, so far so good. So we grab the UI, to grab the UI mem, we do UI mem. Boom. And now we have it. Read only. Okay. Here we need mutable. So UI mem mute. And we got it. What's going on here? Cannot assign to UI mem next match data, which is behind Y. Y is fucking mutable. Did I write this static mute? All right. So good. Next. Main screen update. We're not passing the UI mem anymore. That's cute. Okay. So we reduce the number of stuff that we're passing in. Fundamentally, that's what we're doing. We are removing the need to pass all this stuff. And here we're just reading the UI mem. So UI mem is UI mem. And it's not self. We're saving, but save doesn't require mutable access, so we're good. Okay, so this seems to be all good. All right, does it work? Should work. So we start the game. It loaded the situations. Exit. Change to match. Start the game. And we're serving, so we're good. We exit, and it's a match. Looks like it's working. Let's go. Let's go with this tournament. All right. Oof, that was annoying. Right. So, okay. So why we did all this? Oh, shit, I still have this UI mem here. Fuck's sake. All right. All right. We need to create the tournament. Finally. Tournament. Tournament. All right. And this is Why we cannot see it? Tournament. Pop. And pop. And pop. And that's it. And pop. And pop. All right. So let's go here. So now we should be able to import. All right. Let's create this damn tournament. So let's play and yeah, what we need. Players DB. Players DB is players DB read unwrap. All right. Let tournament is tournament new. And we need the players DB and the players count. So players DB, easy. And players count 32. Fair enough. And we go. So now we got the tournament. Very well. Finally, let's do something. Let's render shit. All right. So the first thing that we're gonna render, let's try to render like let's try to render an entire round, right? So let's do. So what we're gonna do, let's write a function called render round, right? And this is going to be probably self. Then we get the UI. And then we're gonna need the round index, the U size, and then we're gonna need the position as vec2f. And I think it's going to be enough, should be enough. The other thing that we're going to need is a font to render it. All right, so let's grab a font. And our font is going to be font store get font. And what is the font that we're using all the time? This one is a little bit too big, but it's going to be good enough. Really, font store is in game. Right. So what do you need exactly? Get font. Yeah, so it needs a renderer and then the name of the font and the size. Fine. So definitely we need something small. Let's try 24. Game is gonna be no, the renderer, we have it, so we're good to go. But why bold italic? We don't have something else. Right. TF. So the idea is what we want to do. We want to do render round, self render round. We pass the UI first round, and the position. Let's go 0 for. Let's go 10 10, and we'll see. We'll see how it works. All right. Just import this. All right. Good. So now we go for matches in self tournament rounds round index. Round index, and we need to make this public. Poop. And poop. And poop. And poop. Whoops. Poop. Poop. Right. Matches iterator. So now we got the matches. We grab the players DB. Let players DB is player DB read and wrap. Okay. Let's make this position mute and let's go. Let's go. Let's go. What are we going to do? We're going to do self font. What? Self? Ah, we don't know what font is. And it's that one. Right, is an RC font. All right. So self font. Nope. It still doesn't know what font is. Where are we? Tournament screen. RC. Happy? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Font. Yeah. All right. So we activate the font. Right? Is it? Do we need? I don't think we need to do this. I think we can do self. Ah, okay. So yes. So what I do is let font guard. So it's self font push. And actually we can do it up here. And what the hell you want? UI, right? UI. Right. Then we do font draw text. UI. Text. Okay. The name of the player. So players DB. Players M. Okay, so if. So let's go like this. For P in M players ether. No, we should. Yeah, that's always 2, so we're good. All right. So if let sum p, what is this? Where is p? Is an option usize. Some player index equal p. Player index. Regardless, cannot be indexed by, yes. Okay. What else? 4 arguments, yes. The position is pos, and the color is JVM colors black. Cool. And this is going to be full name. Good. So regardless if we have it or we don't have it, we move the position down by 30, right? And that's it. That's it. I think that's it. So we should have the list of all the matches. Let's try. We have a first idea of how this is going to look. Tournament. Woo. Beautiful. Beautiful. Assertion failed. Cannot modify. Okay, so we cannot do this. Cannot modify between next frame and end frame. So what is telling us is that we cannot do this. And the reason why we cannot do this, because we're calling this guy inside here. And inside here, we are in the middle of doing our thing, which is the reason why we were waiting to create the other level. And that means that we cannot do this. So we cannot use set next screen because we cannot create a screen, right? So we're gonna do to tournament screen. Right. So all we're gonna say is to tournament screen. That's it. Right. And this tournament screen, and then we have to delay this guy. Right. So we delay this guy to, when we delay this guy, ah, my God, this is so annoying. Ah, Jesus. Jesus, this is so annoying. So this is going to be some kind of deferred action. It's such a pain in the ass. Right. So this deferred action is this. And this is, so this one doesn't exist anymore. To a tournament screen, and it's like deferred action, some it's basically some action like that. Okay. And the idea is that here we have to do another match. So we do all the rendering, we close the rendering, and now we can do stuff. That's what we're dealing with, right? This is deferred action. and we have to go through the same nonsense. So if let some deferred action is deferred action, right? Right. So this one becomes screen action load sim, and we do all this. Right. Then if we have the defer action of screen update action request to tournament screen, we're gonna do the tournament screen and return none. Right. Everything else we return none. But we're still in trouble. All right, that looks kind of okay. So here we do self screen is going to be launcher screen tournament, and we need to create the tournament screen. Tournament screen new. We're gonna pass a bunch of stuff. Game render new self font store, self texture store, blah blah. Tournament screen. Right, and that's it. Woo! All right. Does it work? Boom. All right. So there is a problem. So we can see the names, but it's happening inside this debug shit. So we need to do that invisible form. And I've done that thing enough to be sick of it. That one clown 110, thanks a lot for the follow. Thanks a lot. I've done that invisible shit enough that it has to become a function now. So it's something called invisible UI, right? So this kind of shit, I've done it enough. The problem is it's not easy. But let's try to do it. It's not the first time that I read this thing. I'm about to code something for April Fools. What should I make? Aren't you a little bit late? I mean, it's going to be something super easy. I want to do the tournament. I'm going to think about this another day. How to write this thing. So, update tournament screen. So let's go. So after, blah, blah, blah. Boom, 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 boom. All right, let's go. Hey, Xent. Slower than I hope. I was hoping to make progress, but here we go. Okay, so that's our tournament, and that's our first problemo. We're gonna need a bigger boat here in order to do this. I mean, if I go full screen, it kind of works, but I think we need a smaller font. So we want to stay for sure inside that 20, what is it? 780, right? 780. So let's see what we have to do, right? So we have to do 780 divided 32. So our font has to be, our spaces has to be something like 20, 23, right? So let's make our font, we're not that far because we are at 24, I think. Where is that we're creating the font? 24. Okay, so let's make our font 20. All right, let's pack it as much as possible. Let's see where we are. So we start from 10. So we're really, let's see how small I can go. Because, yeah, if this doesn't fit, then we have a problem. Right. So let's try like this. If this doesn't fit, then we will have to start to think about, so here's how the list looks like now, which is better. Right. So we could definitely expand it a little bit. Right. Okay. Let's try one more thing. Let's try to, so we're gonna, for sure, we're gonna put it a little bit lower. So for sure, we need something to render on the top, right? So let's say that we're starting at 60. So if we start at 60, does it still fit? Yeah. Okay, so we can definitely go a little bit higher. So we can change this to, let's try 20, right? And let's try to give it an interspace of 22. What's going on there? What are you doing? Close. What did it do? I don't know what it did. I pressed wrong key and did stuff. Or I think we're like almost where we want to be. It's not that easy to read, but you know, close enough. Let's go. Okay. So now we want to do the lines, right? So we want to do this kind of stuff. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, we want to do this kind of stuff. So the way we're going to do this is, before we print it, we're going to do UI. So we need the context. How you window draw context or something like that. Window draw list. Like let draw list. All right. So draw list, add line. So P1 is gonna be, let's try pos for now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Right, and then the end is gonna be pos plus vector to I have no clue. 100, right? Array. And then what you want? You probably want a color, don't you? Yeah, you want a color, right? 0, 0, 0, 1. A news line that must be used should be called build. All right, build. What can I do with this line? Ah, thickness. Right, cool. Let's go. Tournament. Okay. Okay. I used to do this a lot when I was a kid. I forgot. Is it a line under every player, pretty much, I think? So not above. So are we building a line below every player? Something like this. I think also above. So let's start one above. Okay. Then we need the vertical line to close the match. So how are we going to do this? We can do it up here, I think. So that's going to be, so this is, so it's going to be exactly like this. $22, no? 22. Okay. I think if we put it at the bottom, Okay. What happened here? Fuck, how I can get so confused? I did this like I did this when I was a kid, like I was obsessing over this shit. This line should be one down basically, right? So it should be more like yeah. Let me force it. There it is. Okay. That's how it should look like. Okay. One thing that we need to pass here is the spacing f32, right? And so everywhere that we're using this 22, we need to put the spacing. So spacing, that's it, right? Okay. Because the idea is that we call this guy and we say spacing is 22. Okay. And then the idea is that we render round 2 and we have to double the spacing, right? We could actually do this automatically, but let's see it first. You know, we could probably do this automatically. So here we should get only the lines now because there is no players there. Okay, it almost makes sense, but this has to be 60 plus 22. Nope, minus 22. Minus 22? Oh, so confusing. Okay. And let's have a look to what the... So let's write something in case the player is not there. So we know how it will look like. All right. So let's write something like, you know, people and boss and JVM colors black. Okay, so we can see that this is fucked up. Why is drawing this almost as if it is centered? I don't get it. That's pretty surprising. It's very surprising that it goes here. It's a buy when you get no opponent. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it works, the buy, yeah. Is when you don't have a power to opponent count. I really don't understand why it's rendered as if it is in the middle. It's very surprising because obviously here is not writing it as if it is in the middle. It's here, and we're literally calling the same function. Yeah, I think it's exactly the same, if I read Drake. Exactly the same. Let's confirm that we're actually rendering in the middle, which is very surprising. No, it's not centering it, but is in a different place. Of course, right? Because we need to go 110. Kunos. Okay, there you go. Okay. So the next thing. So the question is, should we think about the names? That's so annoying. I think I should get the name right, and I think this will get the name right, and then figure out why the lines are not correct. Right. So that's correct. Right. But this line should be up. But that's exactly what we do if you think about it. So I don't know why I'm getting so confused about this. I mean, if I switch it up, everything will work, right? So if I switch it, so this is the vertical line. So if I switch it like this, and then we put a line on the top, we should be good, probably. But no, because then they will also move on the other side. So we're still super weird. We are still super weird. And if we do the next round, it's going to be even weirder, probably. So this is going to go at 2010 with 88. Right, super weird. Super weird now. So this line here should be at the bottom. No, I think that I changed the wrong one. So that was okay. Oh my gosh, this is so confusing. So either I will have to treat it really differently, which I think is the case. I think I have to treat it differently if it is the first round or the other round. One thing that we could do is, instead of doubling it, we could do something like 33. So a kind of an offset. Oh my God. I thought this was going to be easy. I thought it was going to be easy. Okay, so that's definitely not what we want to do, because the spacing is fine, is the beginning, right? So something like this, maybe. Okay, that looks better. So the lines, I kind of like it. Right, so next would look, the way the next will look like is something like plus 22. Does that make sense? Not really. So it's going to be plus 22. So plus 11 plus 22, right? So and I'm calling the wrong round. Yeah, so I like the lines. So if this name went up with a line, then we'll be in a decent shape, kind of. Ma insomma, So the lines, I'm kind of convinced that this is kind of correct. So I know I'm writing this in a really stupid way, but you know, it's just to make it very explicit what it is, right? And this goes 88 by 2 is 176. Oof, what happened there? Yes, 310. So plus, what is it, 88? Round 4. Right, and then plus 176. That should be the final, right? Oof. 310, 410, 510. Ah, sorry. It's 5. What? We don't have a 5th round? Right. This is complete nonsense what I'm doing, but you know, I need to figure out in my head. I think if I now raise all the texts, we have something that looks pretty much yeah, it's still a little bit weird. Because if I do it, I think this one is kind of okay. I think it's kind of okay, this one. One thing that we could do is what we need to choose is how to align this. So we probably should move the text a little bit. So let's try to understand if we should be able to calculate the spacing, right? Because the spacing, it's obviously spacing. It's obviously 22. I should really have a const here. Const base spacing, right? Float 32 and it's a 22. Okay, so our spacing is basically spacing so obviously base spacing multiplied by round index plus 1 as an F32, and that kind of bring us there. So now we have this weird half offset. How we calculate that? Yeah, it's very annoying. It's very annoying to code. I was thinking the same. It should have a but then it brings everything down. What was the Dutch Dutch tour Dutch tennis NNT? It's not like that. What was it? Did I delete the app? There it is. I don't have translate here. Shit. There was also the Australian one. What is it called? Australian tennis tournaments. Where was it? Where was it? Tennis Australia. Tennis Australia. ITF. Let's see ITF. For sure. For sure they must. Also the ATP, no? ATP. Tour. Must have something. Scores draw. So that's how they do it. That's a lot of space. So they have that small vertical space that you were talking about. And I think that's the real solution, right? It needs to. It's a real solution, I think. Ciao Lucignolo. Come è andato a Refoil? Va bene se ti rispondo in inglese, no? Lucignolo is asking how Hydrofoil went. Pretty well when it comes to reviews, and the people that played were really happy with it. But sadly it didn't sell enough to be sustainable. Like even at this stage, basically, I'm not even making back the money to keep the servers that I have on Azure up. So yeah, sadly it didn't go that well. Yeah, yes, I think so. I think I was hoping the community will be bigger than that. So obviously I was not expecting the audience for a racing game, but I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest. And but on the other hand is that I cannot say that it was a surprise. So it's not that I went to press the button on Steam to publish expecting, this thing is going to go out and sell 30,000 copies. Which is probably, the kind of the threshold to make it viable. That kind of number, 30,000 copies, is kind of where you want to be, to make it something that is profitable and you can keep working on it. So I knew that it was not going to happen because luckily now with Steam and even things like YouTube, you have a pretty good idea of how much engagement you have on your game. So, the moment that you publish, you know already where you're going. So it was very obvious when I don't remember how many wish lists I had, but probably 4,000, something like that. If I remember correctly, something like 4,000 wish list. And you have to think that the conversion rate for wish list is super low. Right? It's not that if 4,000 people have your game in the wish list, then you're not going to sell 4,000 copies. Right? Not even close. I think Hydrofoil Generation from that point of view did pretty well because it's a very niche game. So I think people that had it in the wish list were actually interested. So it's not something like a game that there are many games. Like if you like a racing game, there are many racing games, right? So having, a selling game is like if you have it in your wish list, so the conversion rate was good, but not even close to the kind of numbers that we needed to continue working on it. And suddenly this is the situation at the moment with indie development. The entry bar went so low that basically right now, with all the engines and stuff, is like, and the asset stores and so on, is like it became much easier to make a game. So we are now in this situation where you're competing with hundreds of games being released every day. It's very hard, and obviously artificial intelligence is probably going to make things even worse in the very near future. It's already happening, and it's only going to get worse, I think. So we are in this situation where visibility is really complex. It's really difficult to get attention because you release your game and it's instantly gone, right? If you release your game, I don't remember what is the threshold of wish list that supposedly gives you a little bit more visibility on Steam when you release. So if you don't have that, you almost have no hopes to get noticed. But Hydrofoil Generation was particularly difficult. It was a very difficult game, super niche, because it's not just sailing. It was like foiling. And if you think about it, the number of people that even understand the concept between foiling something like the boats that we had in the games, you're talking about probably, I don't know how many people in the world actually sailed one of those things. Probably 50 people in the world sailed it. And they, so it's not like a car or a sailboat where everybody can relate to, a bicycle, a motorbike. Like, a lot of people can relate to that and understand the concept. Like, okay, this is the gas, does this. This is the brake, does that. I turn this way, it goes this way. I turn that way, it goes that way. It was a game that required a huge learning from the player, right? So it was very difficult, very difficult. Have you learned that it's easier to ride the masses than create niches? Yes or no, because at the end of the day, it's difficult in both cases. Because if you make a game that has a mass appeal, right? So it's you have more competition, so visibility remains a big problem. Because if you do a platformer, good luck. If you do a visual novel, good luck. If you do an horror game, good luck. Like, you're literally going against thousands of games that are already there, and probably hundreds a week release, right? So it's right now is really hard to be an independent game developer. It's really difficult. It's like, don't get confused by the success stories. It's the success story are the exception, right? So you get one game that goes like super big, your Silk Road, whatever it's called, your Balatro, your Slay the Spire, all these kind of games that go like super huge. But you have to think that for each one of those, there are thousands of games that don't make a profit. I remember there was I think the average indie game on Steam makes $300. Right? So take $300. I think it's a revenue. So those $300, $100 is the money you spent to put it on Steam. So you're left with 200. And then of those 200, Steam takes 30%. And that's it. Have I thought about converting into a business B2B software? You can go to the beach all year round, but you have to train. What you're talking about? Hydrofoil generation? Frederick is saying, I wonder how many of the people who will be interested actually know it exists. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like one thing that makes racing games, which was like the thing that I was lucky enough to get into it, is that racing games have this very, very strong community. Really, really strong. And there's still like dedicated websites that are super important. So there is this website that now is called Overtake. It used to be called Race Department. And the nice thing about that is that if you make a racing game, you can just do a post on that website, and now you're exposed to hundreds of thousands of people that like racing games. So you almost don't need any marketing to be seen by the people that are potentially interested in your game. And sadly, there is nothing like that for sailing. I think the biggest sailing community on the internet is something called Sailing Anarchy. And I tried to write a couple of posts. Hey, I am Papa Noel 1. Thanks for the follow. I tried to make a couple of posts in there. But it's not nice, right? It's not. Yeah, the reception was not very encouraging, right? So, and we tried to run commercial. I think we ran ads on that Sailing Anarchy for a while. The publisher did what they could. It was very difficult to get any kind of influencer to play the game because it was incredibly difficult to play. So yeah, it was what it was. It was a really, really niche game. So what can you do? Sadly next, because I really enjoyed. Have you seen the Disco Elysium? It's on my list. It's on my list. I didn't know that the documentaries were negative, but it's interesting how often it happens that it's difficult. I mean, we're lucky. We're really lucky because we get to work on things that we enjoy. Obviously, game development has moments, right? So right now, for example, I am in a moment where things are really fun. It's very enjoyable. You create new systems and things like that. Obviously, there are other moments, especially when the release get close, that are way more stressful. Overall, we're very lucky, but especially for independent developers at the moment, it's really hard. It's really, really difficult. So the general suggestion right now is don't do it. Don't do it. Don't think you can actually support yourself and your family with it. Do it as a hobby, but not expecting too much because it's really hard. So you mean training software? I don't like that environment. You can imagine that with Assetto Corsa in the past, I had a lot of opportunities to go to work with racing teams, Formula One and so on. Obviously, it's not what I want to do. I'm a game developer. I want to develop games. I want to create something that as many people as possible play. When you go into that kind of software, you're making a software for, you know, if you work in a Formula One simulator in a team, you're making a software for 2 drivers, for maybe 5 drivers if you want to include the replacement and the young team. But that's your audience, right? And everything is very political. Everything is very conservative. So it's not the kind of environment that inspires me to be in. It's not. It becomes corporate, right? It's exactly the opposite of what a game developer wants to do, right? You want to feel like you are in a creative space, and if you end up doing this kind of simulation for professional use, you are basically in a corporate environment. Playing political games is like, not really. No, the documents were not negative. The people who made Disco Elysium tell me how they made the game, but also how it all turned crazy. Right. Well, the game itself is quite, is it Disco Elysium about, kind of depression? It's got this kind of art style where I don't know, is it stone or depressed? I don't remember. But yeah, but Disco Elysium is it's a very successful story at the end of the day. It's a name that everybody knows. It's a game that had such a beautiful art style that you will see a post on Reddit and it will have a lot of upvotes, right? It's the kind of game that instantly pops, right? So, and that's also the thing, is like, you get that feeling quite, that's you get that kind of feedback. The internet is positive from that point of view, because you can get the feedback on what you're doing. So it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be like when we release Assetto Corsa. We were coming from our experience with something like Netcar that sold, I don't know, 7,000 copies, 8,000 copies in, I don't know, 5 years or something like that. So nothing. We did Ferrari Virtual Academy that got some copies, but obviously it's not that we were making a lot of money out of it. And we went into Assetto Corsa expecting, hopefully it's gonna sell those 30,000 copies that we needed to survive. And I think it sold 30,000 copies maybe in like the first week or something like that. So it was like order of magnitude more than what we expected, because at the time there was we didn't have all the tools that you have now to really judge the kind of interest. Obviously now everything looks very obvious. Like, we had people traveling to the Gamescom in August in Germany from all over Europe just to come and see Assetto Corsa and try it. So in retrospective now, it kind of makes sense that like, okay, there was a huge interest in the game, but it was still a big surprise for us. So yeah. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, I'm not, even with this game, I'm not super optimistic, to be honest with you. It's just, but is this what it is? You have to put something out there, and try to do your best, and hope that people share your enthusiasm for what you're doing. As a game developer, I cannot create passion in myself for something that I don't like to play, right? So obviously, I don't play a certain kind of game. I don't play puzzle game. I cannot do a puzzle game, right? I never played a puzzle game in my life. So I cannot do that. I cannot make an RPG even if I wanted, because, yeah, for a lot of reasons. So at the end of the day, you end up doing something that is like an overlap between what you like and what you can do with the kind of resources that you have. And then hopefully, there are enough people that share that passion and that can support the thing. But I would say that at the moment, the general morale in game development is not super high, I would say. Today I saw a video with Thomas Brush, which is a game developer, a YouTuber. he did the video that was quite negative as well, because he realized that he's been working on his game for 5 years, and 5 years is a long time, right? Because at the end of the day, you might think I think Thomas is American, so you have to think that somebody like that you're already thinking about hundreds of thousands of dollars per year, right? If you are only one person, and Thomas Brash is obviously working with other developers, so I don't know if he's paying salaries, if he's paying money to create the asset. I don't know if he's got a publisher. So there is a lot of if. But 5 years, even if you are a couple of developers like me and my wife, that's easily $500,000 straight away, right? $500,000. And if you make anything less than that, you lost money. Right? As simple as that. And to make $500,000 right now is really hard. He did pay salaries, but he cut all devs. Now he's alone. Right. So yeah. He had like a team of 2 or 3. But I think he has a publisher. So I would imagine the publisher was covering some costs of that. Hopefully. The publisher was covering some of that. And the publisher are also playing this kind of game where they have to they have a kind of try to cover and support like 100 games to hope to get one that actually makes some money. So also for publisher, the situation is not great at the moment. And it is what it is. I mean, it's fantastic, the fact that now literally anybody can go and make games, right? It's really much easier, and it's nice because obviously you have people that maybe have very good ideas for a game, and if it was 20 years ago, like when I started to do this, in order to even make a game, you had to learn a lot of things. Like you had to be a very good programmer to make it happen. And now it's not the case anymore. You hear all these stories where, what's the name of the guy that did the game about the train? The train, the spider train, whatever it was, right? And I think he started a game that he knew nothing about programming. And I think I saw an interview with Thomas Brush, I think, that he just interviewed somebody and he said 1 year ago or something like that, he didn't know anything, you know, and he used a real or Godot, whatever, and now he made a game and he sold an amount of copies. Obviously, it's nice, right? It's nice for these guys because you get these very creative ideas. On the other hand, it creates a huge amount of noise with people just redoing the same thing over and over, like all these people doing horror games. So it's all the same, right? It's all like you download an asset store with a house, and then you open the door, you lock the door, you find the key, and then boo, the jump scare. It's all the same shit, right? And it's like hundreds of games get released. He did it in a real blueprint. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Crazy. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that these things happen. You know, what's the game about the drug dealer? Awesome, right? Awesome. You come up with this kind of crazy ideas that work. Like when Notch did Minecraft. So, but there you go. If you think about Notch knew how to make an engine, how to build something smart like Minecraft. So he had the technical background. Schedule 1, yeah. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I think I'm pretty tired today. I have to think about this thing. I thought it was going to be a little bit easier, to be honest, but my brain is just locked, and I need to think. And now we fuck it up because we are trying to calculate. So we're missing all the... I really don't want to do it as a loop. Like, so what am I doing here? I know there is a pattern, but I'm too tired to say it. I'm trying to solve this. I'm working on a startup that's helping indie devs gain visibility for their games. Would you be interested in the alpha? Why not? Drop me a message. Why not? Why not? As long you don't do any crypto and all that stuff, I'm good for it. You know, usually, you know, I say this because a lot of people approach me, you know, with this kind of startup, and it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, all you have to do is put, you know, crypto. Maybe the crypto thing is over, but you know, a couple of years ago it was big. yeah. I mean, you have to be careful. You have to be careful, right? Yeah, sure. Send me. I don't know how it works on Twitch, but you should be able to send me a message or something. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna take a break for today. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate the time together, and I will see you next time.